You have to talk to content owners about being realistic about levels of security. So, I mean, are they really going to put a first run, maybe a premium early release movie available so I can watch it on my smartphone at the same time as I could watch it on my set-top box? I mean, I'm sure ultimately they'd like to.
The two answers to that question is if there's money in it for them and if they're comfortable that the risk of that is acceptable. I think the answer to something like that right now is obviously no.
Yeah.
I think that...
And indeed you say to them, that's probably not advisable.
Well, I think they know. I mean,
I
I think they themselves know that very clearly because the studios have CTOs and they have security departments that are extremely well educated on these topics. We interact with them as CA and DRM companies, I think all of us on a regular basis in order to share with them our new ideas and our new approaches, some of which they end up adopting. So.
I mean, I get the feeling that 2-3 years ago, the dynamic would have been, you've come up with stuff they just don't want to use, they just don't want to move. Now, perhaps they want to do stuff like now that you're saying, well, hang on a minute.
No. It has to be the right stuff, though, that you offer to them in order to protect their content. And I think solutions like watermarking, solutions like dynamic renewable security are the things that are taking them to a level of comfort that they're willing to start experimenting with new business models. And that's really critical for them. If you look at the losses that they're currently suffering from the physical media industry and how that's declined, especially with regards to DVD, even though Blu-ray in some markets is still doing very well, they need to replace that income, which in many cases I believe is the plurality of the money that they earn more than from any other source, with electronic sell-through models. And that's what things like ultraviolet are meant to address. But there are some very serious concerns about whether or not the security strategy behind ultraviolet with 5 different DRMs will be successful at enabling a sustainable digital business model in the long run. And they need help from companies like Irdetto and the others around this table to ensure that that's successful.
Okay. Is there anything that watermarking can offer to the CA guys in the sense that obviously it's there to track down the material after a breach? Does it bring with it any clues as to how that breach occurred or who was responsible for it?
I think what we've seen is the development of watermarking, which is a discipline that's been going for some time now. It's not been around for sort of a couple of months. It's X years now, and I think what we've seen. I mean, certainly we as a company, we are out of Philips. We acquired the Thomson STS watermarking unit, so we have some expertise, we believe. But I think what's happened is the technology has been iterated and developed so that the granularity of the information that is now being that we can generate on the fly gives a much greater level of precision as to the kind of environment surrounding the event. So without kind of discussing it too much, I think what we are able to say now is we can give information that is kind of actionable to our peers within the CA community, and certainly obviously the content community, because that's that's the driver for us. That's what the content community is saying to us. Give us a toolkit that actually enables us to manage our media much better. And of course, to do that, you need to have a better sense of what's going on, and you can't just say, well, it's watermarked and X happened. You need to give kind of environmental information.
And your client is always the content provider.
Not necessarily. I mean, I think we play in that kind of the media ecosystem. So, ultimately, if you believe that the primary driver is the revenue that the content owner makes from a piece of media, that then has to flow through a number of mechanisms. It could be the platform. It could flow through all the way through to a device. So it's platform operators, it's broadcasters, it's anybody who at any point touches that content to add value or to make a revenue that ultimately flows back to the content owner.
And it's really important to understand that there is a point in that flow where CA or DRM are no longer responsible for protecting that content. Let's say, for instance, after it's been output to an analog output, which is very often today the source of, let's say, for instance, live sports streaming on the internet, because that level of quality is sufficient for the pirates to be able to offer to their customers. In that case, I think something like watermarking, whether it be Civolutions or Irdettos or some combination of the two, can be extremely effective, because what it allows you to do at some point is create a closed loop system with a security system such that you can immediately detect and then shut off at the source that individual provider potentially of the leak. So that's an excellent opportunity, whether you be in a broadcast or a broadband environment, to really connect the watermarking technology, the analytical tools behind it, back to a control system that immediately takes action and quickly can shut off the source of the leak if that's indeed the service provider's desire.